Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 1 finale of Cowboy Bebop. A great season finale, a lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're picking up in the aftermath of episode 8, where Spike got rescued by Grin and Anna, because Anna says, like, you know, because obviously Spike didn't want her involved in this, but she's like, no, I've been involved in all of this since the day, like, you died. Like, and for her, it's like, she blames herself, because it's like, Vicious would have never found you if it wasn't for me, but it's like, no, like, he put a sword through your leg, like, even the strongest person would have broken, you know? So, but she's trying to make up for it, because she's like, she doesn't want him to die again. It's like, on her watch, it's like, she blames herself directly for him almost dying before by Vicious's hands. So at the same time, Jet and Faye are looking for him, and luckily they track him down to Anna's. But at the same time, Faye kind of when they were looking for Spike at that Earthland carnival thing or whatever, she saw a poster for a place, and it's like, she's like, it looks familiar to her. It reminds her of the place, her house in the video from her Identikit. And she kind of pieces it together where she's from. At least it's a starting block. But Jet needs her help to find Spike. And this is afterwards, we'll work together like a team and we'll help you figure everything out. And she's like, right, let's go help Spike. I was actually kind of surprised. And I think that speaks volumes of just her growth of, like, normally she would have been like, nah, bump that. But, you know, despite everything, she cares. And so it's like, right, Spike's done a lot for me. So it's like, all right, I'm going to help him out. But sadly, you know, and the reunion is happy. Granted, guns are drawn, but everything's all kosher when it comes out. Like, nah, these are friends of mine. These are also friends of mine. Nobody shoot anybody. And Jet's just happy to see Spike. You know, he's like, oh, like, I love you, partner. I thought the worst had come. But sadly, he gets news that Kimmy was kidnapped by the Syndicate. But they didn't call him Spike. They call him Fearless. And it's like, who are you? And he was like, that's the name I used to go by when I killed for the Syndicate. It's like, worst time, but it's like, yeah, it's going to come out. Even Spike knew it was coming out eventually, but he just didn't want it to be under these circumstances. So now, you know, he has to own up to all this, which Jet's not too happy about all this. But even Faye's like, holy shit, you were with the Syndicate, you were a hitman. And now it's like, right, you let me believe you told me you were some hero, like, military person. It's like, I never said it. Yeah, but you never corrected me. The entire time you could have told me the truth. It's like, if he had told you the truth from the beginning, who knows how that would have happened. But granted, it's like, once again, it circles back to that whole point that he made with Faye. No more lies aboard this ship. And, like, you've not only lied to me recently, you've continued to lie to me, even though we made a pact of no more lying. So, to be fair, he made sure never to ask Spike too much about his past. So it was like, Spike has had plenty of opportunities. Stuff has come up to be like, you need to tell Jet the truth, considering a lot of stuff is coming your way because of your connection to the Syndicate and everything. So, but Spike wants to make this right. Like, he doesn't fight Jet. He's like, right, if you want to kill me, go ahead. But this is the best way to save. Like, if you don't keep me alive, you won't be able to get Kimmy back. So let me help you do this. But when the time comes, Jet tosses Spike into the trunk, and it's like, no, he's a liar. He's part of the Syndicate. I don't care what happens to him after this. But Faye is like, no, we're supposed to be a team. Spike has saved my life countless times. Yeah, he has his past, but he's also saved your life countless times too. And she's like, I'm not going to carry the weight of you handing him over, because you know, like, if you hand him over, they're going to kill him. So, like, but for him, it's like, I don't care. If it means saving my daughter's life, I'll gladly give them this piece of shit's life. Because, you know, it's like, right, you were a Syndicate. Not only were you with the Syndicate, you were a hitman for the Syndicate. You've killed so many people. It's like, no, it's only the balances of the scales. But for Spike, this was, you know, he even says it later on, this is his thanks for giving me the opportunity to, like, right my wrongs. Because he's never, you know, because he made the mistake of letting Vicious live before. He should have killed him when he had the chance. And a lot of this probably, not a lot of it is probably, it could have been prevented. But the fact is that time and time again, when he had the opportunity to take the shot against Vicious, he didn't. Because, I mean, hell, he had his shot earlier in the season, like episode 2, and he didn't take it just because of their camaraderie. Despite everything, it's like, you were my brother. You're the only brother I've ever had. But he found a new family of sorts with Jet at the time. But Despite everything, Faye walks away because she's like, I won't carry the weight of like, you want to carry this, you want to do this, then do it on your own. I'm not going to help you do this. But Vicious had confronted Julia, and I think this line is very important when it's like, oh, like, your plan, everything didn't go to plan except for your plan with, everything did go according to plan. I got rid of the elders and everything, just not the part of the plan that you had planned out with Mao. And he, like throws something at her and she's hurt, but he's like, oh, it's because you found out Fearless was alive. And she's like, this has nothing to do with Fearless, this is about you, like that, you know, you aren't man enough, you aren't good enough, you know. I mean, truth be told, is him being the monster that he is kind of what spurred her on to do this. It's like, right, don't get it twisted and think this is about Fearless, this is about you. This has always been about you. Like, like, the fact is, what kind of man, like, as I always thought that maybe you didn't know about me and Fearless, but you did. Because he was like, how many times did you fuck Fearless? And it's like, oh, but you knew, and yet you stay with me. Like, what kind of man stays with a woman after he knows that you know, but it's like, yeah, because the thing is, he didn't want to be alone. That's why he never got rid of her, because in his mind, he thought he loved her just like she thought she loved him, but she never really... I guess both of them are kind of messed up in their own right, of like, they both thought they knew what love was and it wasn't each other, you know? So he wants to make her suffer. He's like, I'll make you go through the most excruciating things, and you'll be begging me to kill you. And then I will do even more I won't kill you. I'll just do more to hurt you in the end. So, but when the time comes, Jet did work things out with Spike enough to be like, right, when the time came, it's like, right, Spike's in the trunk, there's plenty of men here, Vicious, like, if you want to hurt me, you can, to keep me in line. But then it's like, right, they both get to it, Spike shoots out the trunk, rolls out, bam, 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 bam. Sadly, Vicious, his two right hands, and Kimmy aren't there, it's just a projection. So they get surrounded, and it's like, they get the living crap beat out of them. And like I said earlier, Spike thanked him because it's like, yeah, we've been in worse spots before. He's like, really, have we? He's like, yeah. He's like, but thank you. He's like, for what? You know, it's like, yeah, for just giving me the opportunity to make things right in some shape or form. And so Vicious comes to him, and what, you know, for Vicious, it's like, you know, it's like, right, you want to believe, you know, he's like, oh, I'd never hurt a child, it's part of the code. He's mocking Spike, especially considering, like, once again, I'm like, that's the messed up thing. It's like, he broke his code. He did all of that to save you. And he even says it. It's just like, I was sent to kill you. I should have done it. And that's where I'm like, I don't know if Vicious ever knew that Spike was sent to kill him. I don't know if he knows that, like, until that moment. But he's still so pissed at Spike about, like, the betrayal, because he says, I loved you. Like, you supposed to love me. It's like, right, you wanted... Like, what hurts you the most isn't necessarily the Julia thing, because you still kept her around. It's because he betrayed you. It's like, it's the very, like, the Syndicate's very mob-like. It is very much like the Mafia. So it's like, yeah, like, you betrayed me. I loved you. I loved you with all my heart. You know, I took you in when you had nothing and no one. We had each other. And I'm sure that was, like, all post, like, probably, like, everything going down with his mom. So Spike was, like, the only other family he could rely on. He couldn't rely on his dad in any shape or form. And it's like, yeah, the one person in his family that he loved betrayed him. And that's what this is all about. So it's like, oh, like, here's your daughter. But Jet, I'm not going to let her go. I promise not to hurt her. I'm going to kill her. And he's also going to be like, right, I'm going to make you watch as they die in front of you. He wants to make, you know, Spike suffer, make him feel the pain of what he's done. This is, you know, because he points out all the stuff that he was like, right, people always thought of you as the angel and I'm the devil. And then Spike says that line, I love it, of being like, only because I'm by you. Like, I only look like an angel when I'm standing beside you. And he's like, I'm the bad guy. Like, I'm like, you're a monster. Because, like, despite me being the monster I am, at least I'm honest about it. He hides behind pretending to be something. He's not like, you know, the aloof goofball that Jet's kind of known as Spike Spiegel. But luckily, Faye shows up and proceeds to rip into everyone with the guns from the ship. So she ends up getting Spike and Jet free. And, when the time comes, like, Spike protects her when one of the Syndicate men are still alive, and he takes a bullet from him. And so Spike is making sure that Jet and Kimmy get out of here, because he has to end this once and for all. because this is his mess to clean up. This all happened because of me, so it's like, I've got to make this right. I've got to put Vicious down once and for all. But Jet kind of lets him go. He's like, yeah, let him go, because it's also like, there's still contention, like, despite everything. It's like, but I'm also going to let you go because you did save Kimmy's life. At the same time, there's a whole situation with Julia. She's talking to one of the syndicate people, and it's like, and she leans in and is like, right, Vicious is going to kill you after all of this because you're the only other person who knows the truth behind why he tried to kill Fearless. So he's going to kill you because you're going to be the last person who knows the secret. But she's like, did you ever love Vicious? And it's like, I thought I did. And it's like, do you love Fearless? And it's like, yeah. And it's like, right. Then she gives, because she saw the way Julia was being treated, and it's like, right, this is supposed to be someone that you love and care about, and that all of this is just a petty thing of like, they were both trying to leave you. But once again, I still think at the heart of it, it's mainly because Fearless was trying to leave you. That's what hurt the most. Not even Julia trying to leave. But, he felt betrayed by the person he cared about most. That's funny enough, Fearless. But that particular syndicate member crashed a car and gave her the gun. It's like, go to him. And as she's walking away, she has this look on her face, and she starts walking slowly. I'm like, that seemed like that might be to something else, and it seemed like that was foreshadowing where we were going to get to at the end. But Spike, locked and loaded, picks up a pistol and goes after, kills Vicious's two right hands, and then goes toe-to-toe with Vicious himself, which I'm like, I remember that, obviously we didn't get to the nitty-gritty of it, but that's I think one of the coolest freaking fights is, Spike versus Vicious. I mean, granted, this ain't the final round, but, because, Spike's, it's a sword versus a gun, and I always thought that was the sickest thing of, Spike is blocking with his gun, trying to shoot Vicious, and then, it just, them constantly clanging and just fired and slide. That fight is just sick. We got a little taste of it this fight, but, I love that when the chair split or whatever, I'm surprised he didn't go both tonfas, because, both of them were in the shape of tonfas. I expected him to use it, and he kind of uses it for, a tonfa for a while, but, and then there's just, which I didn't remember it from the anime, but apparently it's a scene straight out of the anime, a shot straight out of the anime. It's like when Vicious is leaning down with the sword and Spike is pointing a gun at him, and they got their weapons pointed at each other. That shot is straight out of the anime. Just because I saw, I know, IGN has, a video of, the 10 things, I guess, shots or things, straight out of the anime. But, exchanging of a shot and a stab, and with it all said and done, he's come over to kind of finish Spike with a gunshot, but lo and behold, who said, yeah, Juliet's here to the rescue, and she's like, oh, it is you, and it's like, oh, it's a happy reunion. Not until she's like, but you didn't come for me. He's like, what? It's like, yeah, you didn't come for me. You knew exactly where I was for the past 3 years, and you left me to lay with him. You left me in his care, despite everything between us. And Vicious is like, oh, the reason why he did that is because I told him you chose me. And she's like, and you believed him? And he's like, I did, and I shouldn't have. Man, for her, it's like, well, he's like, well, once we deal with this, we can go away. We can get away from the Syndicate. And she's like, why would I want to get away from the Syndicate? The Elders are dead. It's all primed for the taking. All I have to do is take the throne. And it's like, you kill him and we could have it all. But for Spike, it's like, I'm not that person anymore. I told you I didn't want anything to do with this. But for her, it's like, you made me this way. He was like, no, this isn't you. But it's like, no, you made me this way when you left me behind and never came. It's like, Spike made a lot of mistakes, but he can't turn back time, because in his mind, it's like, yeah, she chose him over me, and, and it's like, she's happier where she is. He was under that impression, but she's like, I can't believe you were idiotic enough to believe that. You didn't realize there was something more, and because of that, you stayed away. And it's like, maybe if Spike had not stayed, he could have changed things. But that's the sad thing of whoever Julia was before, she's not that anymore. She's been warped and tainted by the situation. I mean, granted, would the Julia from before have orchestrated her deal with Mao to kill Vicious? Because at one point in time, she did love him, but she grew to realize, oh, I didn't love you. I thought I knew love until I met Spike. But even then, it's like, no, that wasn't even love. because even Spike is like, I loved you, and she's like, that may be, but it still doesn't change the fact is that he left her in the situation he did. She shoots him, he falls out the stained glass. That's the thing of like, I remember, once again, I had the vaguest memories of Julia and Spike's encounters, and I'm like, I remember it was different circumstances. I didn't remember the entire situation, because kind of spoilerish, because I remembered her being on a run from the Syndicate, but considering like where things were, I was like, I guess, once again, I think this is probably all straight from the anime, I just didn't remember it at all, but I remember her and Spike's encounters later on, because I remember them being like adversarial at certain points, so... Because like I said, I remember things about the ending, but it is sad that despite everything, like, Spike was trying to do this for her, he was trying to make up for the past, and past came back. It's like, yeah, you don't get that happy ending despite everything, because it's like why would you get the happy ending considering all that you've done? And like, Julia isn't the girl you fell in love with anymore. She's grown dark, and she plans on taking control of the Syndicate because she doesn't want to be afraid anymore. She stayed with Vicious because he, as long as she stayed by his side, he, keep her safe, but also like he wouldn't come after her. So, but she's tired of like relying on other people. It's like, right, now I'm going to take my destiny by the reins of my destiny with my own hands. I'll steer it from here on out. And the fact is that I won't rely on someone else. I'll take all the power, and I'll never have to be scared ever again. I don't know if they ever really go into Julia's like deeper past, like even beyond like the Syndicate stuff, because I'm assuming it probably play a role in how we got here. Like another Netflix wise, like learning how there's a little bit more than just Marty's current circumstances, the Bird family circumstances at all, that kind of plays into why Wendy has a darker side in Ozark. So, there may be a contributing similarity in Julia's case. Once again, I'm coming from the perspective of not remembering whether that was ever really covered or not. But she made her choice in that moment, and just like the point was like, and she said that line to Spike that Spike said, if like, that he brought up in the first episode of like waking up. And maybe he kind of went back to sleep and he dreamed again. Just when he was going to let Julia go, he reaffirmed himself of like, I'm never going to let you go. And in this moment, you don't have to worry about letting her go. She let you go. She made her choice, because for her, it's like, it's time for me. What we had was a dream, and it's time for me to wake up. So... when it's all said and done, she makes the amateur, decision of like keeping him alive, because she wants to torture him like he tortured her for 3 years and just being who he was. And now it's like, you were talking about you're gonna like hurt me and put me through so much. So she constantly goes in there. She puts one bullet in there, and pulls the trigger, and it ended up being an empty chamber. It's like, cool, we'll do it again. She's gonna do it over and over again to torture him. It'd be easier just to kill him, but she wants it to be stretched out. She wants him to suffer. Because he is an elder now, no one comes and visits the elders unless asked. But now that, like, oh, I'm your wife, so all that power comes to me, so I'll be speaking on your behalf, so the Syndicate's going to be running her way going forward. I'm curious to see how Anna's going to react, potentially. Well, her and Grin are, like, moving, because it's like, right, you staying there is too dangerous. I don't think Julia's going to do anything in retaliation against them or anything like that, but it is going to be a thing of, like, wow, I can't believe you're doing this. Like, Spike, tried to come and save you. It's like, yeah, I wonder if she's going to switch the narrative to that, like, if Anna ever asks questions about it, We'll see how things can play, especially if she's still going to be rolling with the Syndicate. It's going to be like, wait, where's Spike? I know he was coming after you, so... we'll see how Julia responds to that. But Faye ends up leaving the ship, which is sad, because your boy Jet is at his low point, because his ex and Chalmers look at him with kind of like, this is your fault. Like, Kimmy wouldn't even been in this position, because regardless of anything, like, it's because your world and everything got mixed into this, and they came after her. Especially because it's like, right, your partner is the reason why this all happened, and your daughter could have died because of you. So just when they were making progress, 2 episodes ago, he was like in a good spot with them, but now it's a situation. No, 3 episodes ago, you were in a good spot with them, and now it's like nope, that's kind of all down the drain now, so... I keep doing that wrong. I'm doing that wrong in my head. No, it was definitely 2 episodes ago, right? Because it was like episode 7. well, three episodes. You get what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm making that more confusing than it needs to be. But now family stuff isn't where it is. His partner that he trusted so much throughout all this, him and Spike aren't good. Plus Faye's leaving him, but he's like, no, I understand you're doing what you need to do. Like, you go figure it out. You go find out who you are. So she leaves, and Spike comes back, and he's like, the only reason why you're alive is because you saved Kimmy's life. But obviously, we're done. Like, if I ever see you again, I will kill you, Spike. He's like, because of course you'd survive, because cockroaches always do. So Spike's kind of lost the only other, like, it's everything, he walks away with nothing, like, the Syndicate probably won't come after him anymore because it's Julia at the front. Like, she'll probably leave Spike alone. I don't think she'd have any reason to come after him anymore, because the only reason they were coming after him in the first place was all because of Vicious's own, like, broken heart and vanity and just his anger. But Julia's not coming from that perspective. She cut a clean tie with Spike, so even if he is alive, she's cut ties with him. So, and now he doesn't even have his home. He doesn't have his partner, his friend, the only other family he's known since the Syndicate. Now it is, he's out on his own, wounded, passes out, and lo and behold, a familiar friend. And I'm like, is this how they actually met in the anime? Like, because I feel like I have vague memories like Spike and Ed being together for a while before we get the whole band back together. I don't remember. Once again, I'm like, them having bad blood and being, like, definitely split. Like I said, I brought it up earlier in the season. I remember them kind of having a disagreement and being split up. I feel like I remembered that. But I thought that was, like, specifically, like, an episode thing. I didn't realize it was, like, an arc. Maybe. Like I said, if I'm judging by the length of the anime, because, like, I'd say 26, but it might have been 24. But I'm pretty sure the anime is 26 episodes, right? Maybe not. But I'm assuming this would be, like, the season finale, like, for the first season. Like, if it is, like, the 13 episode thing. Because once again, there's also the movie, because I don't remember the movie at all. I've watched the movie like once years ago. I've not seen it more than once, so I don't vividly remember it, because I'm assuming they're adapting some of it, because when they talk about the anime, they also bring that up at the end too, when they're like, oh, also based on the anime movie as well. So, but our introduction to Ed being like, I was like, are they going to make, yep, they're making Ed the eccentric weirdo that Ed is. And it's like, oh, Spike. It's like, nope, not Spike Spiegel. So, but it's like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. So, setting up our next chapter in this story, because things are far from over. Once again, just from the vague remembering of how the anime ended, it's like, oh boy, we're definitely not far from over. So, we'll see what this all means, well, going forward. At the time of me recording this, there has not been announced whether there will be a season 2 to the series. I hope it does, considering the big cliffhanger we left on. And I'm like, reading some of the stuff really quickly, I'm like, I was pretty sure the Julia stuff played out way differently. So is this something they're doing just for the live action, making her take over the? Because like I said, I remember her her coming to Spike. I was like, I think she was on the run from the Syndicate, but I feel like I'm kind of conflicted. Like, I'm kind of probably going to watch some of the anime just to refresh myself, but also just to kind of get a clear picture of what's different and what's not. I'll probably maybe make a video out of it too, just like, without, doing my own comparison and contrast between, like, because I'm sure there's plenty of stuff you'll find online about, like, oh, the differences between the anime and the live action adaptation. But I really hope we do get a season 2, because I'd love to see where this takes us, if it goes actually towards the ending I'm remembering versus like where we are now. Like I said, just so many things I don't remember. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, hoping for a season 2. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.